Hi everyone, this is K Studio, and today I want to share with you guys a famous and meaningful old movie, Rickshaw Boys, directed by Ling Zifeng in 1982. The movie adaptation of Rickshaw Boy is based on the novel of the same name by the famous Chinese writer Lao She. But in order to distinguish between these two works, the translation of the film is Rickshaw Boy, while the original translation of the novel is Camel Xiangzi. I learned about this movie by chance when I watched Fairview, My Concubine with my mother, who is a fan of Zhang Fengyi, the actor who plays Duan Xiaolou. She mentioned that Zhang Fengyi became famous by starring in the movie Rickshaw Boys. Besides, the original novel is so significant in Chinese literature that students in China are required to read it in junior high school. Additionally, in class, we have already watched many films showing features of different dynasties or time stage in China. For example, the chaoses of Cultural Revolution showed in Fairview, My Concubine. The ancient feudal kingdomship reflected in Curse of Golden Flower, and the patriotism during the anti-Japanese war as shown in The Sports Queen. Therefore, I recommend this movie Rickshaw Boys to have a deeper understanding of the life for the poor in the World Law era. Now, let's approach the World Law era in China. Here is some pictures. The movie reflects times in old Beijing in 1936, where the world was turbulent, dark, deformed, and unbalanced. Although people were released from the feudal dynasty, they had to work for a living, and poverty deprived them of the only freedom they had at time. The hero, Xiangzi, is a representative of the vast number of toiling masses who desire to create wealth and happiness through their own efforts, but ultimately defeated by reality. There are four main characters in the film: Xiangzi, Hu Niu, Liu Siye, and Xiao Fuzi. The hero is Xiangzi, played by Zhang Fengyi, as mentioned before, who also played the role of Duan Xiaolou in Fairview, My Concubine. Xiangzi works as a rickshaw puller. He is kind and simple, loves work, always strong and struggling. He is not satisfied with his low social status and tries to change his life through hard working by purchasing his own car. The heroine is Hu Niu, Xiang's wife, played by Siqing Gaowa. She is spirited, kind, shrewd, and capable, born with a male character. Liu Siye is the father of Hu Niu. He is also the owner of a car yield, a straightforward person with a strong character, who strongly opposed Hu Niu to marry Xiangzi. And after the marriage, Liu Siye refused to help Hu Niu and Xiangzi, sold the car yield and went away. Xiao Fuzi is a neighbor aunt, and she is a woman who Xiangzi really loves. Her family was so poor, and her father sold her to a brothel for money. In the original novel, Xiangzi suffered three major ups and downs in his life. For the first time, he spent 3 years saving money to buy his own car, but in less than 6 months, the car was taken away by deserters in the modest of war, and only 3 camels were brought back, which is the origin of his nickname, Camel Xiangzi. Xiangzi was not discouraged. He still stubbornly started from scratch, more self-restrained to save money. However, before he could buy a car again, all his savings was extorted by detectives and looted, and his dream of buying a new car was again in vain. When Xiangzi once again put up his own rickshaw, it was at the cost of a monstrous marriage with Hu Niu. But soon after, Hu Niu died in childbirth, and he had to sell his rickshaw for her funeral. After 3 setbacks in his life and the suicide of his beloved Xiaofuzi, Xiangzi lost his confidence and courage, and then gave up on himself. So why choose this movie? Firstly, the part I appreciated most about the movie was Ling's enrichment of the novel's female characters' personalities. In the original novel, Hu Niu was described as a lazy, pleasure-hungry woman with a spirited, shrewd, and cunning personality. The writer also regarded normal sex after marriage as sinful and degrading, leaving me extremely bad impression on Hu Niu when I read the book. The film, however, successfully portrayed a unique film figure who is spirited and capable, worldly without losing her goodness. For example, Hu Niu manages her father's garage in an orderly manner, and at first opposed Xiang's efforts to earn money through hard labor, but insists on through management. Secondly, she sarcastically said something to Xiaofuzi because she was not used to seeing her as a prostitute. But after realizing her mistake, she took the initiative to apologize and help Xiaofuzi. Thirdly, although Hu Niu married Xiangzi through deception, she took care of Xiangzi wholeheartedly after the marriage and shared his hardship with her. The successful image of the female in the movie made a big difference to Hu Niu I remembered as a child, and eased Xiang's miserable life. The second reason for recommendation is that the film no longer highlights the hardships and despair of people at the bottom, but call for the return of human beauty. The film does not highlight the social environment of warlord era, but simply passes over it. After watching the movie, I did not have a heavy feeling of the tragedy of the times, but only a deep sense of the coldness of human nature. Now, let's have a look about the miserable ending of Xiangzi shown in the movie. Before ending my presentation, I want to share some of my ideas for movies. Looking back at the movie I have seen, I found that many of the classic American movies have things that inspire viewers to face the life positively, such as Forrest Gump and The Shawshank Redemption. Whereas many Chinese meaningful movies like to criticize and reflect on history. The audience may feel a sense of bewilderment after watching them. Rickshaw Boy and Fairview My Concubine are the most typical representatives. After watching Rickshaw Boy, I deepened my understanding of Chinese history through the perspective of ordinary people, which I think is one of the most meaningful things about movies. Lastly, Rickshaw Boy is really a very good and famous and meaningful movie talking about the times of the old China and the life of the old people. So I really recommend everyone who are interested in Chinese history to have a look. Thank you for your listening.